Hello students, in this video we will be going through the ancient history timeline. Now let us first discuss that what were the periods, how the ancient history proceeds, and then eventually we will go into detail of each and every period, each and every dynasty over there. Now let's see over here. You can see the first part, that is the prehistoric period. From the Paleolithic period, it's then moving to Mesolithic, then Neolithic, then Chalcolithic. Parallelly also Indus Valley civilization was running in the Indus Valley region, right? Then Vedic period, early Vedic period, and then the later Vedic period. Then the post-Vedic period, which again comprises of rise of Mahajanpaths, Jainism, Buddhism, rise of Magadha Empire, right? Then Mauryan period, the three important kings over there. Then in the post-Mauryan period, we will see what happened in North India, Deccan India, and then the South India. Post that, Gupta period is there, the three important kings of the Gupta period. Then post-Gupta period, again in post-Gupta period, we will be walking through the North Indian phase, the Deccan India, and then who were the powers in the southern India. And then the post-Gupta period, particularly from 750 to 1000 Common Era, right? And in that particular period, we will see what was the tripartite struggle, where Rashtrakutas, Palas, and Gurjar Pratiharas will there, right? Now, let us see all these things in a detailed manner. Now, guys, see, this video will be helping out those who are giving prelims this year, that is UPSC Prelims 2025. This video will help you to go through a brief timeline, right? As you know that timeline based questions are asked, chronology based questions are asked, and even those who are preparing ancient India for the first time. So this video is helpful for them as well, right? Because before going to the ancient India's any book, or let's say NCERT or any basic book, I would advise you to watch this video, because if you have watched this video, you are clear with the timeline that what comes next. Okay, and that is what I say, guys. In history, it is not required by you people, particularly in ancient and medieval history, to rectify, or let's say to rote learn the dates and the years. All you need to know is the timeline, that what comes next. That is all you need to remember. So let us see in detailed manner. Yes, students. So as we are talking about the timeline in the ancient history, let us first understand that what kind of questions are asked with respect to the chronology. Okay. So see, these are the questions in 2021 and 2022. You can see that a few particular empires, few particular dynasties are asked, right? And some contemporary nature of question is there, that is from the decline of Guptas until the rise of Harshavardhan, right? In the early 7th century, which of the following were the power holders in North India? So you should be knowing the chronology. Unless and until you don't know the chronology, you are not able to solve these kind of questions, right? Then see, in 2022 also again the question was asked with respect to the time period of Mongol invasion. Like Mongol invasion like basically happened during the period of which king? Okay, so such kind of questions are asked. Even in 2023, such questions were asked, where the dynasties were given, and you were generally asked to identify that which of them were there in the early 8th century, right? So all these things we will be learning henceforth. Let's start in detailed manner. Let's begin with the actual timeline of ancient history. The first period is called as the prehistoric period. So it spanned from 2.5 million years ago till the 3600 BCE. Our journey begins over 2 million years ago in the shadow of caves and forests, where earliest humans lived as hunters and gatherers. With each passing age, men sharpened the tools, and with them they also sharpened the minds. So now the Paleolithic period, we'll see the lower Paleolithic period. In lower Paleolithic period, you need to remember a few things, that control of fire was learnt, basically for roasting meat and warding off the animals. Hunting and food gathering were the major occupations. Tools were crude and rough tools prepared particularly out of pebbles. Sites were Bhimbetka, Nagarjun Konda. Men and women, like again, both of them were involved in hunting. Then, after the lower Paleolithic period, next comes the middle Paleolithic period. In middle Paleolithic period, the evolution happened slightly. Here language was invented. Okay, hunters and food gathering was again, let's say, the occupation, right? Tools were quite a bit refined and lighter, particularly made up of flint. The sites are Nevasa, Bhimbetka, Belan Valley in UP. Then post that we will see that the upper Paleolithic period will be there. In upper Paleolithic period, you will get to see more refined and more lighter tools. Now sites here are Belan Valley in UP, that is Uttar Pradesh, Patna, and few etc. Right, few sites. Then we'll see the Mesolithic period. As the ice began to melt and world grew warmer, something changed. Right, man discovered the rhythm of nature. Now they weren't just surviving; they were adapting, learning, and preparing for a bigger leap. So, in Mesolithic period, you will now see further evolutions. First use of bow and arrow and first burials happened in this particular period. In this period, domestication of animals, particularly sheep and goats, were learnt. Tools were like microliths. Microliths means very smaller tools, right? Sites are Bhimbetka, Adamgarh, and the earliest cave painting at Bhimbetka, which is a UNESCO World Heritage Site, has been discovered, or let's say it is said to be of this particular period. Now, post that, Neolithic period comes. Now, and then what happened? Came the age of revolution with uh, not with war particularly, but with wheat. Okay, so here's like villages rose from earth, and for the first time, man owned land, grew food, and dreamt of tomorrow. Okay, so we'll see what exactly was the evolution features. Here, agriculture developed. Wheat, barley, rice, earthenware developed, right? Tools, particularly now, will be sharper, symmetrical, and quite a bit polished one. Okay. Now, what were the sites? Sites were like Mehergarh in Pakistan, Burza Home in JNK, then Koldiva in UP, Uttar Pradesh, Maski in Karnataka. Fine. Then the Chalcolithic period will come. Now it was soon discovered that not only stones but metals could also be utilized. Okay, metals gave man both the beauty and the strength. Across central India, painted pottery and copper tools whispered the stories of new dawn. Now we'll see here the Chalcolithic age. Copper and stone, both the tools were utilized. Coppersmiths were there, weavers were there, right? Use of black and red ware was done. Then what were the sites? You can see the sites, they are more oriented towards the central India. Navdatoli, Jorve. Okay, Jorve culture is also there, the Chalcolithic culture. Daimabad, Ahar culture, Banas culture. Banas was the river on the bank of which this Chalcolithic period was surviving. Malwa, Inamgao. Got it? Then you also need to learn that parallelly to this Chalcolithic period, in the later phase of this Chalcolithic period, there was surviving a civilization near the Indus Valley, and that was the Indus Valley civilization, which happened in the three phases. Now, the Indus Valley civilization, while villages bloomed in the heart of India, something majestic was taking shape along the mighty Indus. It wasn't just a settlement, it was an entire civilization. So, this is what exactly the spread of the civilization, the Harappan civilization looked like. Okay, then we'll see the few basic features. Urban planning, grid-like streets, standardized brick houses, and public buildings were there. From the baked bricks to Harappa, from the baked bricks of Harappa to the docks of Lothal, the Indus Valley was India's first urban dream. Okay, now with respect to architecture also, they built cities with drains, granaries, assembly halls, right? While the rest of the world still wandered. You can see the image of some brick built architecture over there, right? Then drainage system, sophisticated covered drains were there connected to the homes. Economy, particularly agricultural based craft production was there, and you also need to remember that trade with Mesopotamia happened. Okay, so these city dwellers weren't isolated. Seals from Harappa have been found in Mesopotamia, and India's, like, they were India's first exporters, you can say. Okay, now coming to scripts and seals. Scripts yet undeciphered, and symbolic seals are there for trade and administration. Now, you need to remember that symbols carved into the seals, okay, but yet they are undeciphered. What were they saying? We may never know. Okay, now the culture, standardized weights were there, pottery, jewelry, and proto-religious practices were there. Even their pots tell a tale of style, skill, and sophistication. So you can see the potteries over there. There are different potteries, right? Painted red and black ware, polychrome potteries there, polychrome with multiple colors. Okay. Then comes the next phase, that is the early Vedic age. As the Indus cities faded into dust, a new voice echoed across the north. Chants, hymns, and the rhymes of fire rituals. The Vedic age had begun. Yes. So let's see the features of Vedic age, the early Vedic age. Now, nomadic tribes from the northwest region, they settled along the Saraswati and Ganga plains, forming small kingdoms and clans. Right. So this is how the exact regional spread of early Vedic period looked like. Society was tribal based, patriarchal, kinship based. Varna system started evolving. Economy, you can see that pastoral economy was there, particularly focusing on cattle rearing, with limited agriculture was there. Okay, tribal assemblies were there like Sabha and Samiti with king as the leader. King mane Rajan. Okay, religion. Now here you need to remember one particular thing, that they looked to sky and saw gods in their thunder, in the thunder, wind, and fire. So gods like Indra, Agni, Varun. So they worshipped them. Right? Nature wasn't feared; it was divine for them. Okay. Then literature happened. Literature was started. Composition of Rig Ved, the oldest text. Okay, not written on paper, but carried in memory across the generations. Okay. Then comes the later Vedic age. Now, as time passed, tribes grew into kingdoms, the rituals grew complex, and thought got deeper. Okay, regional spread increased. Now you will get to see that the Vedic people now spread eastwards. Okay, you can see in this map, reaching the fertile Gangetic plains, laying foundation for the future empires. Okay, now society, you can see over here, Varna system became a bit rigid, uh, particularly emergence of ashrams and sanskars. These kind of concepts emerged during that particular period. Shift to agriculture with iron tools. Okay, so we will see that iron age, which will also go in sync with this period. Iron age, metal, the development of iron will happen. Surplus production and trade growth happened. Okay, political system was like centralized kingdoms emerged. So you will get to see the concept of the 16 Mahajanpadas. You can see this image. The 16 Mahajanpads are there along with their capital. So remember this. The trick to remember all these 16 Mahajanpadas have been given by me on my Telegram channel. You can go through it. Okay. This increased the king's power, and there rose the bureaucracy. Fine. So this was no longer the age of clans, but of kings. Then religion, right? Again, ritualistic practices dominated. Emergence of Upanishadic philosophy happened. Then the focus was on karma and moksha. Fine. Now the Upanishads asked the questions like, who are we? What is the truth? This was the philosophy born from fire. Okay. Then more Vedas emerged, newer Vedas, Yajurved, Samved, Atharvaved, each adding a dimension to rituals, music, magic, and also the Brahmanas. The Brahmanas also the literary works which emerged during the later Vedic period. Fine. Then, as we will move forward, as thoughts evolved, so did the tools. The discovery of iron wasn't just a technological leap, it was a game changer in total. Right? Now, during the Iron Age, the iron impact was, let's say, harder than bronze. Iron, it helped clearing the forests, grieving the cities, and forging the weapon. Like these forged weapons that decided the fate of the empires. Okay, so you can see technological advancement happened. Economy got surplus, then again increase in trade and the urbanization in the Mahajanpads period. Then we'll see the post-Vedic age. We'll see how the age of shifts happened, right? Now, the Vedas had laid the base. Now, history exploded in kingdoms, philosophies, and different wars. You will get to see that three important events happened in the post-Vedic period, particularly from 600 BC to 300 BC. The first one was rise of Magad Empire. So you can see the image, Magad Empire. In the east, one kingdom rose above all. That was Magad. It wasn't just rich, it was strategical, powerful, and ruthless. Now, power shifted through dynasties from Haryanyaks to Shishunags to the mighty Nandas, right? So we'll see over here. First, the Haryanyak dynasty emerged. Founders were Bimbisar, and then later, founder was Bimbisar particularly, and then later Ajatshatu expanded the Magad's power. Then, moving ahead, we will see that Shishunag's rule, Shishunag dynasty, established after the fall of Haryanyaks, and they shifted the capital to Vaishali. Then, post that, what happened was Nandas came into power. Nanda dynasty, which was known for its immense wealth and centralized administration under the rulers like Mahapadmananda, one of the powerful king, right? So Magadha or Magad Empire was the heartbeat of ancient India's politics. Then, the second most important thing which happened in this period was the rise of Buddhism. Now, while the kings conquered outside, one prince came and he conquered the humans from within. Siddhartha Gautam walked away from palaces and pleasures to become Buddha, the enlightened one. Nirvan, noble truths, okay, which are also called as Arya Satya, four Arya Satyas, four noble truths were given by Gautam Buddha. Then eightfold path, which is also called as Ashtangik Marg, right? He taught that suffering has a cause and a cure also. And this cure will happen not through the gods, but through right living. Okay, so he gave the concept of nirvana. Fine. Then, after that, eventually, okay, the third thing happened in this particular period was the rise of Jainism. Now, alongside Buddhism, okay, rose another seeker, Mahavira, Vardhaman Mahavir, the founder of Jainism. So we will get to see that concepts like Kaivalya Gyan, okay, Three Ratnas, Mahavratas emerged during this particular period. He spoke of Kaivalya, that is absolute knowledge, to be gained through truth, non-violence, and renunciation. Right? From his teachings, two sects emerged, that is Shwetambar sect, Digambar sect. Right? So you can see over in this image, right? Three Ratnas were given by Mahavir Jain: Samyak Shraddha, Samyak Jnana, and Samyak Karma. Pancha Mahavratas, five vows of Jainism, which are very famous. So, like Ahimsa, Satya, Asteya, Aparigraha, and then Brahmacharya. The last one, the Brahmacharya, was given by Mahavir Jain himself. Okay. Then, eventually, you will also get to see one more thing happened in this particular period. Okay. From faraway lands came a storm named Alexander. The Greeks conquered, let's say the Greek conqueror crossed the Hindu Kush mountain ranges and touched the Indus, only to be met by fierce Indian warriors like Porus. Through his journey, right, Alexander learnt a lot. And though his journey ended, it marked the first East-West encounter, where the Greek came into direct contact with the Indians. Then, eventually, you will get to see in the South India. Now, what is happening in this particular period in South India? The Sangam age will emerge. What is this Sangam age? The Sangam dynasties. Okay, down in the southern tip of India, a different story was blooming. In the courts of Madurai, Kaviripatnam, poets sang of love, war, rain-soaked lands. Right. So the Sangam age had arrived, ruled by the Cheras, Cholas, and Pandyas. Then you can see in this map Cholas, Cheras, and Pandyas, the three major dynasties of the Sangam period. Now, the Indian subcontinent was divided until one man will come and with the guidance of a master strategist will change this entire scenario. So then will become the Mauryan age. Okay, Chandragupta Maurya. From humble beginnings, Chandragupta, trained by Chanakya, overthrew the mighty Nandas. Like particularly, he executed Dhananand, okay, the cruel king basically of Nanda dynasty, and created India's first true empire, the Mauryan Empire. So you can see that the images are there of Chanakya and the king Chandragupta Maurya. Fine. Then Bindusar, his son, Chandragupta Maurya's son, expanded it further, linking lands, peoples, and cultures under one banner. Then, then will come the famous one, Ashok. It was his grandson Ashok who turned from a conqueror to a philosopher king, right? So this is how the image, or let's say this is how the Ashoka looked. During the period of Ashoka himself was haunted by the bloodshed of Kalinga. Post that, Ashoka embraced Buddhism, transforming not just himself but the entire empire. He carved his remorse in stone on pillars that still whisper wisdom across India. Sanchi became a symbol of peace, not power. You can see this stupa of Sanchi which was constructed by Ashoka, and then it was, let's say, the few outer layers were added by Satavahan's dynasties later on. We'll see it. Okay, then spread of Buddhism abroad happened under the leadership of Ashok. Okay, now you will also get to see the pillars, right? You'll get to see the few pillars over there which are a unique thing during the Ashoka's period. Ashokan pillar, the lion capital of Ashoka, that is the Sarnath pillar, now is the national emblem, right? So you can see the glory of Ashoka. Then, as we have discussed, Ashoka's Buddhism, or let's say the Buddhism, basically was spread by Ashoka abroad. Ashoka didn't stop at the borders of India. He sent monks to Sri Lanka. He sent his son particularly to Ceylon, the erstwhile Sri Lanka, Central Asia, even Greece. The message was clear, very clear. Dhamma over dominance. That is Dhamma Ghosh over Bheri Ghosh. Now, we'll see the post-Mauryan North India. Empires fell, but India didn't crumble. It reinvented. First, in the northern Indian plain, we'll see the Shungas emerged. Shunga dynasty. Shungas rose from the ashes of Mauryas. Right? Pushyamitra Shunga re-established the Brahmanical order. Pushyamitra Shunga will be killing the last king of Mauryan Empire, and then he will be emerging powerful. Then, again, you can see this particular image over here. Pushyamitra Shunga. Okay, it's depicted that Pushyamitra Shunga is killing the Brihadrat, the last king of Mauryan Empire. Post that, you will see that the son of Shungas, right? The son of Pushyamitra Shunga, that is Agnimitra Shunga, he will be the next king, and his son, basically like Pushyamitra Shunga's son Agnimitra, even found his name in dramas, and that it was immortalized in Kalidas Malvika Agnimitram. So you can see the name over here, Malvika Agnimitram. It was the love story of Malvika and Agnimitra Shunga. Okay. Now, this Malvika Agnimitram was written by Kalidas. So remember this. Kalidas will come later. We'll refer to that. Okay. After Shungas, Kanvas emerged. The Kanvas followed the short-lived, but symbolic to the constant churn of power. Okay. So this is the Vasudev Kanva. This is the first king of Kanvas, the Vasudev Kanva. Okay. Post that, Kushans will emerge. Kushans, which were also known as Yauchis. Yauchis was the name of the tribe. They came from the Central Asia, bringing gold, art, and new energy. So you can see, this is how the empire during the Kushans period looked like. Okay. Now, you can see this half demolished statue. This is the statue of the most famous king of Kushan period, that is Kanishk. Under Kanishk, the empire stretched from Afghanistan to Bihar. He patronized Buddhism, minted gold coins, becoming a cultural bridge between the Indo-Greek part and then the Indian subcontinent. You can see this gold coin, right? So during the period of Kushans, it was like gold coins were like uh, used in abundance. Fine. Now, also remember, there was a Greek influence blended with Indian spirituality during this particular period, and it is then when the Gandhara school of art will emerge. Now here under the Gandhara school of art, the Buddha's images will be given the Greek influence, or let's say the Greek touch. Fine. Now, post that, we will see what was going on in the Deccan India. Now these things are running parallel. Okay, these things are running parallel. You can see over here in Deccan India, Satavahanas will be ruling, right? While the north changed the rulers, the Deccan rose with a dynasty of its own, and it was Satavahanas. So you can see the empire from Maharashtra to Andhra Pradesh. They ruled vast lands, leaving behind unique lead coins, simple yet rich in history. Then they carved out stories in stones, chaityas, viharas, and caved their echoes with prayers. The first king, the again remember, Satavahana period came into two phases, right? Phase 1 and phase 2. Phase 2, where the Satavahana's power was revived, so it was revived by Gautami Putra Satkarni. So he was the famous king of that particular period. Okay, you need to remember that. Second phase usually we study because it was the contributory stage towards the Indian history, right? Then you will get to see that it was during this period of Satavahanas that the unique way of coin minting, or let's say unique lead coins developed in this particular period. Okay, then Buddhist architecture also developed, as we have seen chaityas, viharas, and caves echoed with the prayers. So these are the, like, this was the example of chaitya. Then you can see this is the Amravati school of art. Amravati, basically, which was one of the capital during the period of Satavahanas, Amravati was erstwhile known as Dhanyakataka. Amravati brought softness and movement into the Buddhist sculptures, right? So more curves, more emotion. Now you will see these caves. Many of you might be knowing these caves, right? These are the Ajanta caves. In the quiet darkness of Ajanta, wall turns into canvases depicting the Buddha's life in colors that still speak today, even today. Okay. Now, again, we will get to see that what was happening in the post-Mauryan period in the extreme south. So the earlier Sangam dynasties, which we talked about, okay, in the far south, the pen ruled as much as the sword. Okay, so Sangam dynasties, Cholas, Cheras, Pandyas, were surviving in this particular period. These Tamil kings weren't just warriors, they were patron of poetry, music, and thought. Okay, so in Sangam literatures, you will get to see multiple things, right? By the way, what do we mean by Sangam? The word Sangam means the assembly of Tamil poets under royal patronage. Okay, so you need to remember the meaning of this. Fine. Then, in Sangam assemblies, poets sang of Akam. Akam means the collections on love. Okay, these were the poetic collections on love. And Puram. Puram means the poetic collections on heroism. Okay, this was literature as life. Then, you will get to see famous works like Tirukural, right? So Tiruvallavu wrote timeless couplets on ethics and politics. Then Sillapadikaram, the epic tale of revenge and then renunciation, right? Showed the strength of women and the path to peace. Similarly, Mani Megale again was the sequel of Sillapadikaram. Then Jivaka Sintamani, right? Jivaka Chintamani, Jivaka Sintamani, both are same. This was a Jain masterpiece that wove moral wisdom into the threads of romance, right? So you can see this. Then, now, post-Mauryan period will end, and then will emerge the Gupta period, that is the golden period of India in ancient history. After centuries of churn, India stepped into a golden glow. Art flourished, science blossomed, and poets found kings as their patrons. Now, this was the Gupta age. Now, remember, the foundation of Gupta period was given by Sri Gupta. But The most powerful king of this particular period, the first powerful king, was Chandragupta I. And you can see this image, you can see this extent of Gupta Empire. Chandragupta I. Okay. Now, it was this period where the beginning of Gupta Samvat or Gupta era starts. Right? Then you will get to see the second powerful king, Samudragupta. He was known as the warrior poet. Now he is known as the Napoleon of India. Right? Samudragupta's victories are immortalized in the Prayag Prashasti. Okay, Prayag Prashasti, basically written by Hari Sen. Okay, at times it is referred to as Hari Sena, and this Prayag Prashasti is in classic Sanskrit language. Okay, now this Prashasti was not on walls but on palm leaves and pillars. Okay, so you can get to see those things on the pillars as well. These are the writings. Okay, then you will get to see that different kind of coins, okay, emerged during the period of Samudragupta. His coins didn't just show wealth; they showed identity, warrior. Like the king himself was warrior, musician, and the king. Right. So you can see different kind of coins: Ashwamedh coin, Tiger Slayer coin, Battle Axe coin, and Veena coin. Okay. Now we will see the next powerful king, that is Chandragupta II, who was given a title called as Vikramaditya. Okay, he was also called as Vikramaditya, and he ruled from the capital city of Ujjain. Okay, so Ujjain became a hub of trade, learning, and culture during that particular period. Now you need to remember one thing, that two famous poets emerged during this particular period, and these two poets were in the court of Chandragupta II, Kalidas and Amar Singh. So Kalidas, which we referred to earlier, right? In this court, in this royal court of Chandragupta II, Kalidas penned verses that still move the hearts, like Meghadutam, Shakuntala, Malikagnimitram, Kumar Sambhav. Multiple write-ups were written by him. Then, again during the period of Chandragupta II, one of the foreign traveler will come, that is Fa Hian. The Chinese monk Fa Hian called this particular place under the reign of Gupta, or let's say under the reign of Chandragupta II, as a land of peace, prosperity, and dharma. Right? Now, we will further see that Ajanta school of art was flourishing. Ajanta's frescoes now gained refinement, grace, balance, and expression of like this expression was unmatched in the world. Right? Then you will get to see science and technology also emerged. Right? Emerged in the sense like they were at its prominence. You can see Aryabhat gazed at the stars, calculated eclipse, and gave the world the concept of zero. Varamihira, right? Then Brahmagupta, then Sushrut. Sushrut was one of the medical trio, right? He has written a book, Sushrut Samhita. That book mentions about the surgical things, right? Then you can refer to this particular image. Everything in consolidated manner with respect to Gupta Empire is written here. Okay, fine. Then we'll talk about the education at two different universities, that is Takshashila or Taxila and Nalanda. So centers like Nalanda became the Ivy League of ancient India. Students from all over Asia came to learn philosophy, medicine, mathematics, and multiple other subjects. Right? You can see this is the image of Takshashila. Then you can see the next image. This is the image of Nalanda University. Now we will see the post-Gupta period, right? The last flame in the northern India. Like golden ages don't last forever, right? So as the Gupta age faded, new powers rose, each trying to hold the torch. So in North India, you will get to see Pushyabhuti dynasty will come into power, and the famous king of Pushyabhuti dynasty will be King Harsha or Harshavardhan. Harsha will be uniting much of the North India once again. He will be ruling from Kanauj. Okay, he's a poet king, he's a patron, and he will be bridging between, he will provide a bridge between the Vedic past and the medieval future. Okay, so you can see his empire. Right, now you can see that just in the Deccan part there is Chalukyas under Pulkeshin II. So that will come again, we'll come to that particular topic again. Now see, refer to this that Kanauj was conquered and united with the Thaneshwar. Thaneshwar was the origin place of Pushyabhutis, that is the Harshavardhan himself. Right? Harshavardhan united this particular period, this particular kingdom, right? He attacked the Shashank of Gauda kingdom, captured Bengal, Bihar, and Odisha. Then he was trying to cross Narmada river but was defeated by Pulkeshin II. Pulkeshin II is who? He is the most famous king of the early Chalukyas, right? And this battle happened on the banks of river Narmada, and that is the reason it is known as Battle of Narmada. Okay, Harshavardhan versus Pulkeshin II. But even Harsha, as you see, that Harsha was powerful, but even Harsha faced defeats, right? Then you will get to see that the famous foreign traveler Yuan Sang arrived at the court of Harsha, and Buddhist assembly was conducted at Kannauj during the period of Harshavardhan. So Yuan Sang's detailed memoirs tell of Harsha's kingdom, like how it was law abiding, how it was spiritually rich and intellectually alive as well. Fine. Now we will see the post-Gupta period, particularly in the Deccan India. Like, let's see what was happening in the Deccan India. While the North battled for unity, the Deccan found its own rhythm under the Chalukyas. So we'll see that how early Chalukyas ruled in this particular period. You can see the territory of early Chalukyas. They were ruling the modern days Maharashtra, the Karnataka region, the entire Telangana, and to some extent the Andhra Pradesh region, right? Now we need to understand that Pulkeshin II was the most famous king, right? Remember, a whole inscription by Ravi Kirti, which mentions about the Pulkeshin II. Now Pulkeshin II defeated Harshavardhan. He defeated Ganga of Mysore. So Ganga dynasty was there ruling in between the regions of Andhra Pradesh and Karnataka. तो वहाँ पे जो Ganga dynasty थी उनको defeat कर दिया. He defeated the Mahendra Varman of Pallavas which ruled from Kanchi. Okay, but also need to be remembered that he was himself defeated by Narasimha Varman I of Pallavas. We'll see it later. Okay, now let us see what was happening in the post-Gupta period in the extreme south. Now down south, the art was not just painted, it was carved on the mountains. Okay, it was literally carved on the mountains. Pallavas were ruling in the extreme south. Now there were different kings, multiple kings ruled. Mahendra Varman also ruled, but the most famous was the Narasimha Varman, who was also called as Mamalla. Why Mamalla? Because he was the greatest wrestler. So Mamalla, right? Great wrestler. Okay. So this was the particular king, Mamalla. Right. Now we will see what exactly were the features of his rule. He defeated Pulkeshin II. That is the early Chalukyas who were ruling from Badami. Badami was also called as Vatapi. He captured them. Right. And that is the reason now he will receive a title called as Vatapi Konda. Now, this thing happened in the Battle of Manimangalam. He established a city of Mamallapuram. So, at Mamallapuram, at Mahabalipuram, entire temples were sculpted from single rock. Okay, now this example which you see, it's the example of Shore Temple of Mahabalipuram. There were different other raths as well. Okay, chariots. So, single rock was carved entirely. Fine. Then this was the unique feature of Pallavas period, rock cut open relief. Now this image, the rock cut open relief, it's basically interpreted in multiple ways. The first interpretation is that it is the descent of river Ganga. The person who is seen meditating is the Bhagirath Rishi. Right. The another interpretation is that the person who is meditating over there or doing tapasya is Arjun, who is basically who wants to please Lord Shiva so that he can acquire blessings to win in the Mahabharata. Right. Now, it was a masterpiece etched on stones with elephants, sages, gods, and the legends that speak without words. Fine. Also need to remember that Yuan Sang visited to Kanchi. Okay, Kanchi was the capital of Pallavas. So Yuan Sang visited Kanchi during the period of Narasimha Varman. Okay. Now, post-Gupta period from 750 AD to 1000 AD, what was happening in this particular period? Let's see. Now, in the northern India, there will be a period which will be called as the tripartite struggle period. Now it will be the battle for the heartland. So here comes the clash of titans, a triangle of ambition. We'll see. Kannauj Triangle basically is that particular region where Kannauj is situated. The Gurjar Pratyaras from the west, the Palas from the east, the Rashtrakutas from Deccan and south, all wanted the jewel on Ganga, that is Kannauj. Now, you can see that Kannauj was important from the point of view of its strategic location. It was located on the Ganga trade route. Secondly, it was also connected to the Silk route. So that was the reason every other big power wanted that Kannauj. Okay, it wasn't just a fight for land; it was a fight for the legacy. Now, with this, guys, we have completed with the ancient India timeline. Uh, and I'm happy to teach you this entire timeline in a crash course or kind of revision manner. All these things we discuss in detailed manner in our essentials course, UPSC essentials course, right? I personally teach the ancient, medieval, and art and culture over there in detailed manner. Now, what you need to do with this timeline is basically you need to revise this content again and again. The PDF which I will be providing, you need to revise it again and again. And even in the free time, what you can do is you can watch this video in 1.5x mode. Okay, and that is all with respect to this video, guys. All the best. Keep revising. Timeline of ancient India is very important. We will soon come with a video on medieval India's timeline. Till then, revise this. Be happy. All the best.